Hey Survivor, welcome to episode 175 of the Vibrant Survivor podcast. This week in court, I had to sit through some of the most triggering testimony I have heard so far. And I've been in court for months. And I knew one thing. I knew that I could not react, not visibly, not emotionally, not in any way that could be used against me. So today, I'm sharing what I did to stay calm, quiet, and regulated in real time, because this is what healing actually looks like when you are under pressure. But first, let's self-regulate with a 4-for-8 breathing exercise, if you'd like. And I invite you to just shake it off. Wherever you are in your day, just shake it off. Maybe start by shaking no with your head, shaking your shoulders, shake your arms, hands, all the way down to your legs, feet. Just shake it off. And we will inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do you notice in your body? Grab your notebook and pen, and let's dig in. Hey Survivor, welcome to the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Do you want to disconnect from a narcissistic or toxic situation and heal? Are you Googling how to identify a narcissist, narcissistic abuse, and boundaries? Are you feeling stressed and lonely while trying to avoid being sucked back in and lied to again? Hey, I'm Lesley. As a busy wife and mom, I fell for the lies and manipulations of narcissists. I wasted my time, talents, and money on users who kept moving the goalposts. I wanted real relationships and business opportunities and to enjoy life with my family. Instead, I struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia, and I couldn't trust my body or anybody until I took a holistic approach to healing. In this podcast, you'll find tips for healthy living, trauma healing, and boundaries so that you'll have the freedom, confidence, and inner peace to respond, not react, after narcissistic abuse. Take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and just relax. This time's for you. As I mentioned previously, we are very close to closing arguments and a verdict in the murder trial, and it is intense. I know I'm feeling a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of people are feeling it in their own way. And I've mentioned before that I already had an experience where my reactions were visibly noticeable and subsequently called out. And this has created a clear boundary for me in these hearings, and that is to stay regulated no matter what. So here are 6 things that I did in the moment in court to stay grounded and in control. 1 is physical positioning. I literally faced forward and stayed neutral as much as possible. So in doing that, I intentionally focused my attention to the judge to avoid engaging with other people around me or any kind of misinterpretation, and specifically like between the jury and like the defense support team. And this was about controlling my external presence in the room. And your body position can either escalate or de-escalate attention. And I definitely did not want to draw attention to myself. After all, I was warned that the jury knows who I am, and I've been coming to these hearings and all of that. And I certainly don't want to do anything to compromise the case in any way, or draw attention or waste time or act out or anything of that nature. So, physical positioning can make a huge difference, and energy follows intention. So, even things like, having good posture, sitting up straight instead of slumping over, can affect your presence, your mood. So everything's connected. Number 2, breath work to regulate the nervous system. I deployed the 448 breathing exercise that we do every week on the podcast to help calm my brain and body. And in general, taking slow, controlled breaths can help to calm your brain and body. Even something as simple as doing a pursed-lipped long exhale, because remember, the exhale is where the magic happens, because that's what activates the parasympathetic nervous system and helps to calm your brain and body and can bring you out of that fight or flight mode. And I was feeling it. Like we were listening to audio recordings of testimonies that some friends of mine had given about their experience with the murderer. And it took me all the way back to 2017. And, when you're triggered like that, your body and brain can't tell the difference. They don't know what year it is. It's just like danger, 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 danger. And I was just feeling all the things all over again. And then specifically as my friends were sharing how they were feeling at that time, and just even hindsight and all of it, I was relating to it. I was like, yep, right there with you. Yep, me too. And it was hard to not get swept up in the emotion of it all. And when you are triggered like that in the moment, you can't think your way out of it. You can't rationalize your way out of it. You're operating from a very primitive part of your brain. And so self-regulation has to come first. And that is one thing that I have just heard again and again from Dr. Robert Roten from AZ Trauma. He has just drilled that into me as like self-regulation is the first order of business before any other tools, tips, tricks, or practices or anything like that. Self-regulation. Number 3, subtle shielding. And with this, I specifically used my hand to help to contain, not cancel, but contain my expressions. And specifically, when I'm in court, I sit in the same seat all the time. And there are people around or behind me and to my left, and then the jury is like ahead of me and off to the right. And so in this situation, I used my left hand specifically to help to shield any visible reactions. And especially listening to the triggering testimony that I have listened to this week that took me back to 2017, I felt there were moments where I could feel myself, just the emotions welling up in my body, and I could feel it kind of manifesting in my face, tearing up, the lip quiver, the start of the ugly cry, with the facial expressions and all of that. And, or just even like the what, type reactions. And it wasn't so much about suppressing my emotions, but more like an intentional containment of them, and not really having everything on full display. So like when how on the commercials where the person holds their hand up to their head like they have a headache, and I did that to kind of help shield some of that facial expressions. And then when I felt like the lip quiver or the ugly cry mouth formation happening, I moved my hand down to kind of cover my mouth, almost like the thinking emoji, but like I raised my hand a little bit more so that my mouth was covered, because I could just feel it, coming out of me. And it's not that it's wrong, it's just that it wasn't the time or place for that. And there's a difference between repressing and making a conscious effort to self-regulate. So this was more of a shield, more about containment, in the moment, in that setting. So the subtle shielding did help. Number 4, speaking the truth to release shame. I was feeling a lot of shame and guilt and self-blame, and just, it was hard as I was listening to my friends expressing their feelings of guilt and all of that. I was just right there in it. And I felt really sad. I felt tempted to just get discouraged, get depressed all over again. And because after all, your body and brain, they don't know the difference. Like, they don't know that it's not 2017. All they know is like, oh man, this is just, this is awful. And, this is tragic and all the things. And so when the court was adjourned for lunch, I walked out in the hallway with the prosecutor, and she just turned and looked at me in the eye, and she was just like, I know that must have been really hard for you to hear all that. And I just looked at her and I just stopped, and I was like, you know what, it was really hard. And just giving myself permission to just let down like that, and to not try to hold it all together, or to come across strong or professional or polished or perfect. Just give myself permission to just acknowledge what is and what was. Like, this is hard to hear. It helped me to just release all of that internal pressure, whether it was pressure to have it all together or just the pressure of the emotional buildup. And I felt supported in that moment, which was really a beautiful thing during a hard time. So even something as simple as naming your experience, you don't have to take it on as your identity, but just naming your experience can help to reduce that shame and self-blaming and prevent emotional buildup, which can lead to an emotional outburst or a visibly noticeable reaction that can carry consequences that you don't want or need. Number 5, journaling in real time. Something as simple as writing your feelings down instead of expressing them outwardly can be a very helpful tool. And it can give your emotions a safe outlet. And that can be really helpful to you, because in doing so, you can get it out and not be subjected to other people's judgments or anything like that, or any kind of backlash or consequences. You can say what you need to say. You can, call it what you need to call it. Document everything, all the thoughts, all the feelings, the attitudes, everything. And I did that. I just reached into my bag. At one point, I just felt so full emotionally as I was listening to all this triggering testimony. I reached into my bag, grabbed my journal, and I just started writing. And I wrote down what I was feeling in that moment. As I was listening to the testimony real time, I was writing down my reactions to it, at thoughts I was thinking, and all kinds of stuff. And I just got it out on paper. And Dr. Bessel van der Kolk in The Body Keeps the Score talks about writing specifically as a powerful tool for healing, and the fact that it allows you to express and record and document your emotions, but you're in a non-judgmental space. It's your journal. So yes, your emotions need to be expressed, and we're not repressing here, but isn't it cool that through journaling, for example, as a writing tool, as a writing format, you get to choose how and where and when your emotions get expressed without that judgment. So good. And incidentally, these tools that I'm sharing with you, I would say that they fall under the lifestyle and attitude pillars of Dr. Sears's lean model of wellness. That is lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. So just saying. Number 6, having a mini devotional and cognitive reframe. So this was really cool because after I finished writing in my journal, I reached into my bag and I went ahead and grabbed my copy of Codependent No More. And I've mentioned to you that I have been going through Codependent No More for the first time in like 2 decades because I am on a mission to root codependency out of my life. And I'm also focusing on codependency in my Celebrate Recovery meetings and the open share group that I go to. And the more that I work on it, the more I see it. And I definitely saw it as I was listening to all this triggering testimony in court. And I saw it clearly for myself as the root of how and why I let the murderer into my life unchecked, or how I was able to be manipulated and, and repeatedly engaged with him even when there were red flags. Why I didn't notice the red flags or see them as red flags. And as I was listening to my friend's testimony and how they were talking a lot about the hindsight, and even at one point, one of my friends even posed the question, like, how could I not see this? Or how could I let this happen? Or let him manipulate me like this? And so I know for me, it just was a reminder of all the things that I've been learning as I've gone through Codependent No More. It's just like, that's what it is for me. It's that codependency that I need to root out of my life. And so in going through the book, I'm in chapter 19. So I turned in my journal and started taking notes where I left off in chapter 19. So I was able, real time in this triggering setting, to ground myself in truth and personal growth and even empowerment. Because in that moment, I chose to learn something from my lived experience and what has happened to me over judging myself by just choosing to go through the book and pick up where I left off. And in doing that, I literally was able to disrupt those old patterns, or that old pattern of, self-blaming and shaming and beating myself up over character weaknesses. So that was really a powerful moment this week. And it just goes to show that regulation isn't just a physical thing. It's mental and it's spiritual too. So what I realized with all of this during this week's hearings is that self-regulation isn't about not being affected by stuff. It's about being deeply affected, actually, but then choosing how you show up. So in this moment, I allowed myself, or in these moments rather, I allowed myself to feel all the things, the sadness, the anger, but I didn't lose myself in the moments. I stayed grounded in my body. I didn't get called out. I kept my integrity internally and externally, which was very powerful and really encouraging. So this is what healing looks like in real life. It's about making intentional choices in really hard moments. Energy follows intention. And so if you're in a season where you have to hold it together, either for yourself or for somebody else, or both, I just want you to know that you can learn how to do this, and it is a game changer. Remember, feelings aren't facts, so respond, don't react. Thanks for tuning in, Survivor. Your response matters. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. If this podcast has helped you understand who and what you're dealing with, sharpen your discernment, and move forward on your healing journey, share it with another survivor. Help me help others by leaving a review for the show. And let's connect on social. Take a screenshot, share it in your IG stories, find and tag me at The Vibrant Survivor, and I'll share your post too. I look forward to connecting with you on IG and seeing you back here. You're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll meet you back here next week. Bye-bye.